Hey guys, Bill Spadea here. Welcome back to our streaming show, Common Ground. We've got a very special episode for you today. I want to thank our sponsors, New Jersey 101.5, Acteon Networks, and a whole host of friends, including Elect Common Sense. We've got a special episode today. As you know, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about the addiction crisis in New Jersey. It's hit an all-time high. We have an enormous problem with behavioral health, mental health, developmentally disabled folks, all of these things across New Jersey, the suicide rate going up, teen drug use going up. And in the last week, we got together with a number of stakeholders and had a roundtable and talked about what are some of the solutions that we need to implement in order to get our state back on track. And I will tell you, one of the important things that we've got is we have a lot of people that care and a lot of smart people that have been through the battle against addiction and have put their time, energy, passion, effort, intelligence, all of it into an infrastructure that is growing as we speak. And we are very, very fortunate to be joined by a number of great guests today. I want to bring in our friend, Ryan Zofay. Zofay, right, Ryan? How you doing, man?
Wonderful, Bill. Thank you for having me.
So, Brian, you wrote an amazing book called Unlikely Businessman, From Overdosed to Multimillionaire. You started a group called We Level Up. Go back and tell us, because your organization is successful. You're saving lives. I met you when you were here speaking in New Jersey. We want to certainly have you back in New Jersey. Tell me first about We Level Up, and then let's talk about your personal story, because I think your journey is something that resonates with a lot of folks out there.
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. And thank you so much for having me. Anytime we can come together with like-minded individuals and have an initiative to make an impact in the world, magical things happen from that. And that's been my experience. And so being in the great state of New Jersey and spending that time with you at the Lunch and Learn was incredible. And that was the first time I got to meet you. And it really felt special to me because I felt your passion and I felt your heart, and I really know that you care. And so thank you for putting this initiative in place and inviting me to be a part of this. And a little bit about We Level Up. The company has been in business for 10 years. The most recent brand iteration happened in 2019, which was We Level Up. It is a lifestyle brand. It is the definition of who we represent as an organization, the culture that we live by. Being in recovery for 22 years, the mindset is like every single day that I wake up and every single day that I have an opportunity to impact somebody's life, it has the metaphor of We Level Up. And so that's where the brand came from. And we are super excited to impact thousands of lives and truly making a difference in this world.
Tell me, who comes to you? When do you get people in this journey? I mean, do you get people before they even know they need help? Do you get them in the midst of chaos and crisis? Where do you interact?
Yeah, sure. So the majority of the customers that we are supporting is typically when they are in the moment of crisis. Okay. And when they don't have anywhere else to go, they think about it. I mean, they literally are dealt with complete just chaos, and they decide at some point they need to go to Google to seek for help. That's literally where they are on their journey. And so I would say 75% of the customers that we work with come through some sort of ad campaign that we are marketing through Google. And so if you think about that, they're in crisis, their life is falling apart, something isn't working, and they decide to go over to Google and search for help. And then they call our hotline, and then we have an admissions team that supports them, evaluates them, and then we support them getting to our programs.
How many states are you in?
So we're currently in 5 states. We are in South Florida. We are in New Jersey. We are in California, Washington State, and we are 30 to 60 days away from opening in Texas.
Wow, fantastic. But how many patients do you see on a regular basis, monthly basis?
Sure. So 300 to 330 patients a month we're servicing. Wow. And then you include their siblings, their parents. So we calculate about 10,000 lives we're impacting a year.
Do you find, Ryan, and I've had this conversation, and you're going to later on in the show, we're going to talk with my good friend Daniel Regan and Rob Gill and others who have a mission that is on par with what we're talking about, get the ship of state on the right track and create hopefully a partnership with some of these governments, because I feel like in New Jersey in particular, you've got hotlines that effectively go to nowhere. You've got people that are struggling. They don't know where to turn. And as you said, they're going to go to the Google because there's no real avenue when it comes to state government. So how difficult has it been with your relationship with local governments? Have they been helpful? What more can be done?
You're absolutely correct. And it's incredible that there isn't more resources or there isn't more partnerships like you're mentioning. And I think it's so incredible. And why I support you so much is because if we had more commonality and more support with the government officials and government agencies, we would be able to create so much more impact, because the biggest cost for us to treat a patient is our marketing efforts. So if we could limit the marketing exposure, we would be able to provide more resources if we had more support from government and city officials. And it's interesting because I was just at my mentor's over the weekend, Tony Robbins, and we were actually talking about how to get more involved with city and state and county level to create more impact. And so this is not a coincidence that here we are having this conversation.
Well, we, I was telling you offline, we've come up with we're working on our 10-point plan that we're going to deliver as a part of the common sense package to reset New Jersey, because politicians pay lip service to it, but very little gets done. And, every person that you can keep out of social services, every dollar you spend in the private sector is $2 you're going to save on the public side. So this whole concept of, we have an opportunity to have a return on investment and that will actually translate into saving lives. It's an incredible opportunity, but it's being left on the floor for whatever reason. So this is part of that conversation, part of that journey. Let's talk about your journey. I have to tell you, Ryan, I walked into that event and you and I didn't know each other, and I was honored to be asked to come and say a few words. And after I spoke, I'm listening to your story, and I'm like, this dude is the real deal. Like, what you went through, 999 out of 1,000 wouldn't be here to talk about it. So let's go back. Talk to me. How'd you get here?
Wow. Thank you for that, Bill. It means the world. And that's the reason why I'm even here with you right now today. It's simple, right? It's like God has given me this gift of sobriety. God has given me this life that is beyond my wildest dreams. And it is my fiduciary responsibility to share a message of hope and show other people, it doesn't matter where you come from, anything is possible. And, both my parents were very loving parents, and they were very supportive. The thing is they didn't have the tools and the resources that we have today. So when my sister passed away, it devastated my family. My family didn't know how to handle it. They didn't know where to turn to. And so they started to fight amongst themselves, pointing the finger. They were devastated. And not only did I feel like I lost a sister, I also felt like I lost my parents, because they did not know how to support me through that trying time. And then my mother turned to addiction. She went to medicate because the pain was so bad. And then she started to get into abusive relationships with men that didn't know how to treat her. And nor did she set a standard that would teach men how to, essentially we teach people how to treat us. And she didn't have those boundaries. And she was in very abusive relationships with men. And by the time I was 9 years old, my mother was stabbed by this man 13 times, to be hospitalized for 6 months, and to get out and get back in the same arms of that abuser. And shortly after, he shot her in the neck with a .357. and she survived, which is incredible all in itself. And so just imagine, 9-year-old boy, being exposed to that environment, not really knowing what to do, where to go, who to turn to. So I turned to drugs and alcohol because it was a means of protection. It was a means for safety. And I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there today that grew up in a broken home and they don't know where else to go. They don't know who to turn to. And so the streets are there. The streets are there for these juveniles. And as crazy as this may sound, if parents aren't able to provide the support that these young children need, they're going to turn to somebody. They're going to turn to an avenue that is giving them what they're looking for. And for me, it was other delinquent juveniles and people that were using drugs and alcohol. And that was the life of my juvenile, was being in those environments.
Now, is your family still in the picture? Ever reconcile or get back to your father, your mother?
So I did have an opportunity to reconcile with both parents. Right before my mom passed, she ended up getting sober for a couple of years.
Wow.
Right before my father passed, he was able to get sober. And that reconciliation was probably the most impactful growth I had in my life, because I realized, like a lot of people that are listening, that they were blaming their parents for their childhood and their circumstances. And as soon as I realized that it was my responsibility to change the narrative, it was my responsibility to change the outcome of my life, and I could no longer blame them for what happened to me, what followed was forgiveness. And that was such a beautiful experience for me.
What was the breaking point, Ryan, when all of a sudden you find you're face down in the drugs and the booze and you're a mess and life seems like it's not going to end well? What was the breaking point that all of a sudden I'm going to get sober, I'm going to recover?
Sure. So for me, I was in a high-speed chase. I was 16 years old. I was in the passenger seat of my best friend's car, up all weekend partying, and realizing in that moment, like, the drugs weren't working no more. It wasn't solving the problem that I wanted it to solve. And shortly after that, I was in an automobile accident, and I was pronounced dead at the scene, and I was trauma hawked to a hospital here locally. And when I woke up, clearly God had a different plan for me.
Yeah.
When I woke up, I was facing 25 to life as a juvenile. And so,
wow.
Yeah. And so what's interesting, that was such a powerful moment, because that was the first time that I was able to surrender. I was able to surrender and really just know that, like, there's nothing else I can do except give it up to God. And so that's a part of the recovery journey, right? It's like surrendering to the fact that I am an addict or an alcoholic, and understanding that I don't have the power or the control to change my narrative. I have to bring in some sort of higher power. And so that was exactly what happened for me, October 8th, 2001.
Wow. Amazing. Ryan, your story is amazing. The book is called An Unlikely Businessman: From Overdose to Multimillionaire. The organization is called We Level Up. How do people get in touch with you if they're listening now? We're going to share this, obviously, on all our platforms, and New Jersey 101.5 puts this out, newsletter, website. So you get the reach of people, and especially in New Jersey, a lot of people suffering, regardless of what stage they're in. What's the reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, thank you so much, Bill, for allowing me to be a part of this initiative. And the easiest way to find me would be to go to my social media, which would be my name, Ryan, RYAN Zofay, ZOFAY. You can follow me there, and I'm very active on my social media. So anybody that is struggling or that doesn't know the steps to take, I'm here to help you. Doesn't matter what season of life you're in, I'm here to support you. And so that would be the easiest way to find me.
Ryan, thank you for all the time today. Keep doing what you're doing. We're praying for you. Keep the faith, keep the fight, and we'll see you in Jersey soon enough.
I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. That was Ryan Zofay. We Level Up. I mean, powerful story, right? Imagine 16 years old, you're facing 25 to life, turned his life around. Not only is he now a multimillionaire, but he's helping thousands and thousands of people recover. All right, I want to bring in the business manager for We Level Up, works for Ryan. We had an opportunity. My wife, Jody, and I toured the facility in New Jersey. Stephen Reil joins me now. Stephen, how are you? Stephen, you're on mute. Hold on. I think I can fix that.
I'm doing excellent. Thank you guys for having me on here.
So
it's a tough act to follow with Ryan, but I'll
oh my God. You know, Ryan's incredible, but you know, Stephen, every story is unique, right? So let's first talk about what the effort is in New Jersey. And I want to make this clear to everyone that We Level Up and CFC Loud and Clear and Relevance Recovery, we're all sharing a platform today because there's a synergy between these organizations that even though, you know, government policy and political policy in the media tends to have groups competing with each other over scarce public dollars, there is a true synergy here where you and Daniel, you're working together to actually get people off the street into a recovery program, get them the help that they need from day one. So I want to get that out of the way and then ask you, let's start with your story first, your story of addiction. How did you get here to where you are now the very successful business development officer for We Level Up?
I mean, my story's kind of, you know, just like, you know, everyone else's in a way with a different twist. You know, I grew up in Somerset County, New Jersey. So Jersey's very, very, you know, it's home to me. I grew up in you know, a normal household, a mother, a father, and a sister. You know, I had the struggles of, you know, not feeling a part of, not fitting in, not do maybe overweight and, you know, maybe not as handsome as the next guy or things like that. And I chose to, you know, hide those feelings with the substance, right? Whether it was alcohol or whether it was, you know, a drug or whether it was both or whatever. It's, you know, I think like it was easier to hide than to confront them, right? And that was then, but now, right, especially as part of an organization called We Level Up, it's, you know, it's easier to confront than to hide, right? You know, one of my mentors told me, Stephen, like some of the best conversations you'll ever have in life are the most uncomfortable ones. It's, you know, that's something that really sticks home to me. And it's about like confronting your fears because they're not going to dictate my future anymore.
What was it? Alcohol?